As much as I hate to admit it, I'm a pessimist. And yes, I know that that is a pessimistic statement right there. Being a pessimist, I just naturally assumed that my coworkers this summer didn't really like me. And it wasn't anything that they did or said, it was just the assumption that I naturally made. But something that I really appreciate about the environment that I worked in was that when my coworkers saw something positive that they really liked in someone, they would give a genuine compliment and encourage them in that way. And there was one day when a couple of my coworkers came to me and really used the gift of words to encourage me. And it was incredibly powerful, and it made my day, probably even my week. And on that day, I really knew the truth and power of Proverbs 18:21, which says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it eat its fruits." Being more of a pessimist, I probably haven't made enough of a habit of speaking words of encouragement and words of life to those around me. Maybe some of you can relate to this, but I know I fall into the trap of comparison. And when we compare to other people, we're looking for flaws either in ourselves or in others. But I wonder what it would be like if we looked for good in others rather than flaws, that we can give out genuine compliments and speak words of encouragement in that way. I think it would completely flip our outlook on life to be more positive. If you think back to some time when someone spoke genuine words of encouragement to you, you might have a smile spread across your face, or maybe you're standing a little bit straighter. Or if you think of the opposite, of a time when someone spoke words of discouragement to you, you might slump a little bit, and that smile probably disappears off of your face. Our bodies and our souls are interconnected, and our words affect both. It's like the verse in Proverbs says, "Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body." And our words have the power to affect both. So maybe you're kind of like me. Maybe you're looking at your life and the pattern of the words that you speak, and you don't really like what you see. Our words are kind of like a window into our soul, and they show what is made of our heart. Jesus tells us that out of the overflow of our heart, the mouth speaks. So what our mouths speak is what really is inside of our hearts. So what can we do to change our hearts so that words of grace and life and truth flow out of them? Well, I think we first have to realize that it's not up to us to change our own hearts. We have to come before God and ask Him to change our hearts. And when our hearts are wise and kind, then we'll speak words of wisdom and kindness that reflect Jesus' heart.